Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to the first official episode of the Snowglobe Podcast, aka Snowcast. My name is Suiyo, and I'm a streamer and the humble host for this comfy little space. In the previous mini-episode, which served as sort of a prologue, I touched briefly on who I was and what to expect going forward for this podcast. I have no idea, and my plan is to have no plan and talk about whatever I'm interested in at the time, which I think is a great plan. So thank you for joining me today, and let's get started. Thank you so much for the overwhelming support I've received in regards to the podcast. The prologue was barely 4 minutes long and really just a snippet, but you guys were so positive and your encouragement was the exact fuel I needed to make the official episode 1 a reality. Thank you for making this happen, and I appreciate all of you so much. Now, while I was talking about my podcast on stream the other day, a few people jokingly said that I could do a suiyo news channel where I report news, and while I'm far from being on the level of a newscaster, it got me thinking about starting a happy news corner for each episode. Basically, I'll pick up some interesting or some fun news topics that I come across, and maybe talk a little bit about them before I dive into whatever the main topic is for that episode. Things aren't always rainbows and sunshine in the world, especially true for this year so far, I think. And sometimes we just need some small wins or happy stories to keep us trekking through the real world. So I thought, why not give it a try? And that's what we're doing to start off today. The Curious News Corner! Did you guys know that when the internet was still starting up, each country got its own domain name? For example, Japan would be .jp, the United Kingdom .uk, United States.us, etc. There is a small Caribbean island called Anguilla, a self-governing British overseas territory located east of Puerto Rico. Anguilla means eel in Italian, and the name is said to have been given by Christopher Columbus when he allegedly discovered the island during his travels in 1493, although that seems to be up for debate. Back then, Anguilla, spelled Anguilla, was allotted the domain .ai for their island, and now with the rise of artificial intelligence and all sorts of technological advancements, all of these companies and tech firms are actually paying Anguilla in order to use their .ai domain tag. One tech elite apparently paid them $700,000 USD to register their domain as .ai. That's almost $1 million for the right to use a name for a space on the infinitely expanding real estate of the internet. Isn't that crazy? But I mean, good for this island. I hope the extra funds are helping elevate the quality of life for all 15,000 people who live on the island. From what I read, the soil in Anguilla is quite dry and unsuitable for agriculture, so it appears they don't have a lot of natural resources, with their main industry being tourism, fishing, and some offshore businesses, I believe. It's not clear what the millions of dollars made from their .ai domain is going towards, but hey, whatever you can get, Anguilla, good for you! In other news, for those of us who don't live in the UK, the clock tower known as Big Ben apparently had been going through some restoration for quite a few years, and the restoration project is now being nominated for an annual architecture award called the Sterling Prize. Seems like it's some sort of prize given to like the best building of the year or something like that. I don't actually know what that means because I don't know anything about architecture, but they probably have some criteria and pick a building or project that was built that year that excels in those particular fields. Or at least that's what I'm imagining the prize to be. Anyway, the restoration project is now being nominated for the Sterling Prize, so I guess it doesn't have to be a new building per se, just some sort of architectural project. The restoration spanned across 5 years, from 2017 to 2022, and costed £80 million, apparently double of what the initial budget was. The project included not only restoring the structure and conserving it, but also cleaning, upgrading facilities, and making sure it continues to be safeguarded going forward. I've never been to London aside from a brief transit at Heathrow Airport, so I've never seen the clock tower myself, but I had no idea until recently that Big Ben isn't actually the name of the tower. What? The clock tower is widely referred to as Big Ben, but supposedly the tower is actually called the Elizabeth Tower, named after Queen Elizabeth II to commemorate her Diamond Jubilee, or the 60th anniversary of her accession in 1952. So the entire structure is called the Elizabeth Tower, and Big Ben, technically, only refers to the great bell inside the Great Clock of Westminster that sits at the top of the tower. The more you know! Now that it's open again, I'd really love to visit someday. It's a cultural icon as well as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and so on, so I'm sure it's a must-see at least once, or twice, or 3 times in life. And now that I know the building itself isn't called Big Ben, I don't have to embarrass myself when I'm there. Hooray! Well, that's all for the Curious News Corner this week. Hope you can look forward to the next one in the following episode. See you there! So, like I mentioned in the prologue of Snowcast, it's been so hot this year in Japan, some days nearing 40 degrees Celsius, that I've been finding all sorts of ways to lower my body temperature and basically survive in the heat. Getting heat stroke in the summer here is actually very common and a very serious thing to keep in mind. So, I thought I'd talk about some tips and things we do here in Japan to brave the heat every year. It's September right now and still scorching hot outside these days in Tokyo, which has not always been the case. I don't know how summer usually is for you guys, but Tokyo has been experiencing extremely hot weather in especially the recent years. I mean, we've always had hot and humid summers, but I feel like these couple of years, summer has been starting earlier and ending later. And the temperatures have been so out of control, so much so that I've kind of had to revamp my game plan on how to survive the summer. I've gotten a few new things recently which have helped me stay cool whenever I'm outside. In Japan, drugstores actually sell a lot of different things that can either help you feel more cool temporarily or other useful items that can help lower your body temperature so you don't find yourself in danger of heat stroke when you're walking outside. Some things are probably not so common yet outside of some Asian countries like Japan, so I thought I could share what kinds of things I've been using, as well as things you can easily find at the stores if you ever vacation in hot places like Japan in the summer and need ideas on how to stay cool. First off, let's start with the things that I personally own and use for the summertime. I have 3 essentials that I always bring out with me in the summer: a UV umbrella, a handheld fan, and sunscreen. I know UV umbrellas, or you might call them parasols, are not very popular in some countries. In Japan, though, the sun can be really strong and you can feel it scorching your skin and the top of your head, so it's really important that you carry a UV umbrella in order to keep yourself in the shade and stop yourself from overheating and basically cooking yourself slowly. Living in a metropolis like Tokyo especially often involves a lot of walking because we use mostly public transit and things are relatively close together. So much so that it's usually the fastest to walk there, or sometimes we walk to the station and then go via public transport. Walking outside without shade for an extended period of time can be very dangerous. As a matter of fact, one year I was walking outside to get some groceries in the middle of summer when not even 5 minutes into my walk, I started getting so dizzy and I was drenched in cold sweat. My blood pressure had dropped so low that I needed to sit on the stairs of like some random building nearby where there was a bit of shade because I just couldn't walk anymore and I felt like I was about to pass out. I am anemic, which may have contributed to what happened, but a lot of it is also the heat dilating my blood vessels and causing my blood pressure to take a sudden drop. At the time, I had to rest for a good, half hour, and luckily I recovered enough to immediately head back home. Needless to say, I did not get my groceries that day, but it taught me to be well prepared because you never know when the heat hits you and how it hits you. Also worth noting that staying hydrated with water or, even better, electrolyte or sports drinks is necessary to prevent episodes like this from happening. Anyway, so learn from me. UV umbrella, very helpful in giving you some shade when walking outside. Highly, highly recommend. Second is what we call a handy fan. Basically a portable handheld fan that you can take out with you to help you stay cool. Sure, it might be just blowing hot air at you if everything else is hot outside, but it's still much better than not having any sort of breeze at all to help you get through the heat. I've tried a couple of fans in the past from stores like 3 Coins, which is like a 300 yen shop here, but either they were too small or weak, or they broke down pretty quickly. This year, however, a friend recommended me a fan from Frank, which is like a interior home goods store, and surprisingly, it is the best one I've had so far. It's not cheap, a little over 3,000 yen, but it comes in a variety of different colors. The battery lasts all day once you charge it. The fan can run at 4 different speeds, and it's really quiet. To me, that matters a lot because 1, I don't like things that are noisy. It really bothers me. And 2, using a noisy fan in public transport can also annoy other people. So a quiet fan can help keep everyone cool and happy. And finally, my last essential and possibly the most obvious one is sunscreen. Now you might be thinking, okay, I thought you were going to tell me about something cool. Get it? That I've never heard of, but you just told me what my first grade teacher also told me on our first field trip. Well, I actually used to hate putting on sunscreen because the generic ones I grew up with came in those tubes with like super sticky formula, and it would just feel so greasy on the skin. It was really gross. No one wants that on their skin, especially not on a hot day when you're already sweating. But now I put on sunscreen religiously because I realized there are actually so many options out there now where I don't have to put up with greasy paste on my skin. I'm sure many brands all over the world are doing the same thing, but in Japan, we've got sunscreen that comes in non-sticky creams, or if you really don't like that creamy texture, there's also a gel type that feels really light and cooling, 2 birds with 1 stone. Then we have the sunscreen sticks where you just pop open the lid, kind of like a deodorant, twist the block of sunscreen out and apply it to your skin like you're coloring on it. The stick type is not sticky and also really portable, which is perfect for reapplying sunscreen every few hours as well. Apparently, you're supposed to apply sunscreen 15 to 30 minutes before exposing yourself to the sun. I'm actually pretty bad at this because I tend to put it on right before I leave the house and then reapply about once every 2 hours. It's also important to apply after sweating or after you've been in the water. I generally take a small sunscreen with me when I'm on the go for this very reason, because you actually need to apply sunscreen frequently for it to be effective, even on cloudy days, because even if it's not direct sunlight, 80% of harmful UV rays can still get through clouds and cause damage to your skin, even though you can't see them. So remember, apply and reapply. Having said that though, my favorite type of sunscreen that I use daily is actually a mist. Not to be confused with the spray type, which is also convenient, but I feel that the spray types that use a spray can sometimes leave like residue on the skin, and they spray too much on one area. I prefer the mist type that's also a spray, but the sunscreen is like more liquidy and it uses a liquid spray bottle. The mist spray is finer, so it feels more thorough, and it isn't sticky at all. Basically just feels like spraying water on your skin and it dries in like 10 seconds. Side note, in addition to reapplying often, remember to also check how high the SPF is, sun protection factor. Most sunscreens I see drugstores selling nowadays are SPF 50, but the higher the number of SPF up to 50, the better it is at blocking the harmful UV rays from reaching your skin. Any number above 50 actually doesn't make much of a difference compared to 50, at least from what I've heard. So you're probably set if you have 50. Sometimes it also says PA+++ on the package after the SPF number, like SPF 50 PA++++. The PA blah blah means it's the highest rating for protection against UVA rays, while SPF is protection against UVB rays. UVA are the rays that age your skin, causing wrinkles, discoloration, etc., and they can also damage your skin even when you're indoors, as they can penetrate glass. UVB are the rays that cause sunburns, which are never fun, but both types are generally harmful to your skin and can cause skin disease, so both are equally bad. Anyway, UV umbrella, handy fan, and sunscreen are always things you'll find in my bag in the summer, and I'd really recommend them as the bare minimum. Now, I don't own some of these other items that I see a lot at stores, but I've tried a couple of them. One thing I see a lot of ladies use are these anti-UV sleeves. They're basically like sleeves made of really light fabric that you can slip over your arms to prevent exposing them to the sun, and then you can slip them off when you're back indoors. I do have a pair of these sleeves, but I found I just prefer having my arms bare so they can breathe better. Although it would be nice if my arms had a bit more sun protection since the umbrella doesn't always cover them. On days I go to work at the office, I always bring body wipes with me. They're basically nice smelling wet wipes that can wipe your sweat away and also act as deodorant so you're not stinky all day after being drenched in sweat on the way out. I've seen a couple of types. They've got unscented ones, of course, but also nicely scented ones like soap, morning linen, citrus sorbet. Like, they're getting kind of fancy. And I've also seen a -3 degree one, which I'm assuming means the wipe has maybe a super cooling effect and can help cool you down in addition to make you not smelly. Speaking of cooling wipes, there's another product called a hiyabando, which literally translates to cooling band. You know those single wet wipes at cafes and restaurants that are packaged in plastic, and you can use them to wipe your hands before your meal? It's kind of like that. You bring a pack out with you, and when you open them, it becomes a disposable towel that you can wrap around your body, your neck, or your head to give you this -3 or -10 degree cooling feeling for apparently an hour or so. And then, when it's not cool anymore, you can just toss it in the garbage like you would any other paper. Easy. I haven't actually tried this yet, but maybe next summer when I'm getting desperate. Some other interesting products that you'd never think you'd need but are kind of awesome are cooling rollers and sprays. They basically work like perfume. You have a small stick bottle filled with liquid, and there's a metal ball roller that you can use to apply the liquid to the back of your neck or your forehead. The liquid has a minty cooling effect that makes you feel like something's cooling you down. Same with the sprays. There's cooling sprays you can spray onto your shirt, onto your body, and even on your scalp if you really need to cool your head. If only I could use that on other people, am I right? Well, you get the point. There's a ton of other items like cooling masks and skincare, but generally Japan takes summer very seriously, and luckily they keep thinking of ways to help people feel better during these rough hot months. I feel like these kinds of products should really make their way to other places, because from what I've heard, temperatures have been on the rise every summer for a lot of other locations, and having some options to help you stay comfy is always nice, right? I'm curious though, how do you guys stay cool in the summer? What kinds of things are you conscious of when going outside in the heat? Do you wear particular types of clothing or hats? Do you carry sunscreen with you, etc.? I'd really love to know and maybe pick up a few tips from you guys as well on how to survive the ever-increasing temperatures. Let's hope they don't keep increasing though. It's up to us to slow down global warming and help our Earth recover. So remember to recycle, help save energy at home or try switching to renewable energy, or even something as simple as walking or using public transport instead. Alright, I think that's enough rambling from me today. Forget summer. Did you guys manage to survive this podcast episode? If you've made it this far, thank you so much. You are so sweet for listening to this entire thing, and I would love to put out another episode soon on another topic. If you'd like to give me some feedback on what you liked or what you noticed, or perhaps what you wanted more of from listening to this episode, please let me know in the comments and I will be so happy to take them into consideration for future releases. Feel free to hit that like and subscribe button for more from the Snowglobe Podcast. This Snowcast was brought to you by Suiyo. Have an amazing morning, day, or evening. Stay cool and stay safe. Bye!